So why don't we do a story with Jen here? Jen, let's pick a story that maybe you can give us some opinions on as well. All right. Let me see here. Okay. How about Shaq's message to his kids? Is that a fair one to do? Is that one we want to do? Let's do that one. Okay, let's do that one because we've talked about this, so this is a good one for us. Okay, page 3. Our friend Shaq, who till today I'm blocked because of the interview I did with Kobe.
You're still blocked.
I am still
Shaq
blocked by
you.
Shaq. Till today I'm blocked by Shaq. He sent me a real message. He says, what a stupid question to ask Kobe. What do you mean if I had Kobe's work ethic, who would I have been? That's the dumbest question I've ever heard. Bam, and he blocked me. Yeah. Anyways, all right, so let's go through Shaq's message to his kids. I'm rich. We're not rich. 710 Kill News. Former LSU Tiger and basketball legend Shaquille O'Neal delivered. It's so weird, the introduction. Why would you say former LSU Tiger? Why wouldn't it be the former Laker NBA Hall of Famer? But former LSU Tiger and basketball legend Shaquille O'Neal delivered some harsh news to his 6 children. He told them, we're not rich. I'm rich. On a recent podcast, Shaq says, they're kind of upset with me. Not really upset, but they don't understand. The retired Hall of Fame hoop star says he wants his children to make their own way in the world. O'Neal's net worth hovers around $400 million, but he has made it very clear to his children he expects them to all go to college, and if they have an idea that they want to invest in, they will have to pitch it to him just like anyone else. Babe, what do you think about this story?
I think this sounds very familiar.
Here we go, much better right there.
Oh, thank you. I think it sounds very familiar because.
Do you hear it? Do you hear it or no? I don't hear it.
I don't hear it.
No?
Just give her your mic.
Okay,
Here, just do this, babe.
Okay.
Go for it.
Okay.
Oh, it's better now. He's got it.
Okay. Okay, musical mics.
Sounds familiar to you?
Sounds very familiar, yes, because we basically talk about the same kind of principles with our children. Whenever they're wanting anything, we talk about being able to earn that. Even small things, if they want to buy something, they're like, well, hey, can I go get the money from my piggy bank, those piggy banks that you put together for them? Tico was like, where's the key to this, Mom? Because I want to buy, this video game or whatever it might be. I was like, I don't know where the key is. Ask your dad. So it's about the saving principles.
I intentionally lost the key. Because hopefully we're going to lose the key for like 10 years.
For the safe?
No, I'm just kidding. I have the key, but it's in a place that I don't even know.
But I think they understand that they don't have the money because, if there's something they want to buy, you'll say, look, we'll go buy it. And the kids will be like, well, I don't have any money. Dad, I don't have any money. So I think, they understand that they're not rich.
Dylan's the most curious one. Would you agree? Dylan's the one that says, hey, Daddy, how much is this house? I'm like, Dylan, who cares? He says, no, I want to know because my friends are asking. They say you're rich. I said, how much is this house? I'm not telling you how much is this house. Somebody told me this house is a lot of money, Daddy.
Yeah, they'll say like, Daddy, are you a millionaire yet? And then you'll say,
working on it.
By the way, I got to tell you what Dylan said. Dylan goes like this. Dylan says, hey, Daddy, are you a millionaire yet? I said, yeah, I would say yes. He says, but you're not a billionaire like Batman.
Yeah, he says that.
Batman's already a billionaire. So he calls out. Can you imagine that?
Never be good enough for your
Yeah,
kids.
step your game up. What's up with this, right? Even Dylan.
Here? Joker.
Yeah.
Remember, we can never rise above the opinion of our children.
It is true. It is true. Senna's so funny. Senna's like, Daddy, I want a Ferrari. I said,
Yeah, she said.
I said, that's great. I said, Daddy, who's going to buy it for you, baby? You're going to buy it for me. I'm not buying it for you. Yeah, you buy it for me. I said, no, you're going to buy it for yourself.
Yeah.
But so you agree with what Shaq has to say?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I know I've heard the kids say other things like that, like Senna says, or Dylan may say, I want a Lamborghini. And then you'll say like, well, who's going to buy it for you? And he's like, well, I don't have any money. And he's like, well, you gotta work to make the money to be able to buy that. So
do you remember that one time we're driving the car? Tico and Dylan are sitting in the back seat, and so I say, it's Papa's there, all the kids are there, and I say, hey, Tico, Dylan, are we one day going to be in business together? Like me, you, Daddy, all of us are going to be in business together? Tico and Dylan say, they look at each other very seriously. They say, Daddy, it's a very serious question. Let us think about it.
It's good that
remember that? It's like,
yeah.
let us think about it.
That's a lesson out there.
That's a lesson
to everyone out there. If you don't have an immediate answer,
let us think about it.
Let it marinate for a second.
And then 10 minutes later, I'm like, wow, these guys are wanting to think. So they're talking to each other in the backseat in the escalator. I'm like, Daddy, we talked about it. I said, okay, what do you guys want to do? We're going to start a business together now with you. It's just going to be the two of us. I'm like, fantastic.
Daddy.
Good for you. So they're trying to say, we're going to make our own money. We don't need your help. Tom, what do you think about the story with Shaq?
It's interesting, Jen, that story, I can kind of relate to that because I have that same conversation with Dash because I'm asking him if I can borrow some money from him, actually, and he'll buy me something. The kid's making money right now. Yeah. But it is something that you have to deal with for sure. Shaq's interesting because, remember, he was clearly motivated by the fact that his dad didn't give a damn about him, right? He had the song Biological Didn't Bother. So he was raised by his stepdad, a very strict military guy. Made him what he is.
Yep.
Treats him as his. But it's interesting that he has that as his background. It reminds me of what Daniel Craig said recently when the Bond movie came out, that he's going to leave any money for his kids. I find it weird. Here's my question for Shaq. You're the busiest guy in show business. There isn't a commercial you don't do. You run to Atlanta to do TNT all the time. You're a police officer here. You're a DJ there. How much time are you spending with your kids? Because I've never heard about any of your kids. I'm kind of surprised that none of them have started to excel at something. So I'm saying,
they're playing basketball, both of them, right?
I don't know. I know a
Both
lot about
had some
basketball.
health issues.
Okay.
I think playing for
Okay.
UCLA and he had some heart
That's
issues.
right. But I just, when you're not around your kids as much as Shaq isn't, probably, and it's just such a throwaway line saying, you go make your own money. You give me a business plan if you want to do something. I find it a little callous. That's just me personally. I get it.
Yeah.
You want to make your kids, but that's not my style.
I got to tell you, I take the opposite approach. I absolutely love this. The fact that he's coming out and saying, I'm rich. You guys, you ain't nothing. You haven't proved anything to the world. There's nothing worse. And this is why I respect you guys so much, making your kids work for it and earn it and read and shoot hoops and baskets. There's nothing worse than entitlement. And I've grew up with a lot of rich kids in Miami, and it's always the rich kids that don't want to work for it, that just kind of feel like they're going to get the inheritance, that always end up resulting into nothing. And it's always even I'm not saying that all wealthy kids won't turn out successful, but it's the ones that their parents implement some work ethic and not the silver spoon effect that always excel.
Yeah, but you're making it seem like the parents that just give their kids money where they don't have to worry about it. It's the attention. It's the focus. It's raising them the right way.
I think Tom's talking about extremities. Like, that's the extremity of, like, oh, you're just going to not, help them? Because that's the point. Like, for example, my dad 2 times in his life was what you would consider rich to us, right? And so he, there was twice, and when the first time was when I was a kid. He owned a dealership, he owned a restaurant, he owned 4 businesses. By the way, he had no papers. He was 28 years old and had no papers, and he owned 4 businesses. And I didn't know he had. I was working with the mechanic. Like he owned a dealership. So when the cars would come in, I would help the mechanic. I would move the cars. I would wash the cars. So my dad had money, but I had no idea. The second time I was like 12 years old. He got into real estate when the real estate was booming, and he had 12 houses. I was working with the guys in the crew. I was putting up the stucco. My dad had money. I just didn't know. I didn't know until I became an adult that there was twice, because in the market crash and he lost everything, and lost everything again twice. But he instilled that in me. Never did he say. Well, he would tell me one day this is all going to be yours, but it's like, but for now, get your ass to work. Does that make that's the language? Because he did want to instill, like, I'm building this for you, but you're gonna earn it. So that was a lot of conversation with my dad. Like, one day this is all going to be yours, but then meanwhile, pick up that plywood. Pick up that sheetrock, pick up that hammer. So I worked in the crews after school, and he would pay me. He would give me $50 a day, $250 a week, and I would have to buy my own stuff. Like, hey, that's But one day it's gonna be yours, but you're gonna learn the value. So that's there's just 2 sides of it. My dad wasn't like Shaq, like you're not gonna have it, but also he wasn't like, here you go. No, we're gonna learn the value of a dollar.
John,
you're doing all right.
What do you think? What do you think about this?
I think it's fun rhetoric, but I mean, if I follow Shaq on Instagram, and he's around his kids a lot, at least whenever he's around his kids, the camera's on anyway. Who knows? I don't know.
Kids seem like they like him.
They love him.
Kids seem like they enjoy his company.
Great relationship.
Yeah.
I think that he is trying to look. He was born in Newark. He was raised. He wasn't raised crazy poor, but. He thinks he's got an incredibly hard work ethic, and that's probably what he took umbrage with you. By the way, Valuetainers, this is on you guys. There's 3 million of you. You should be peppering Shaq on Twitter every day saying #sit down with PBD. Valuetainers, what are you doing, guys? This is apes together strong moment here. We need 3 million of you just to pepper Shaq, Instagram and Twitter for the next 2 days. Tell him to come sit down and piece it up. The next sit down after Mafia States is PBD and Shaq, all right? Hey, bro. So I think it's great to instill a work ethic. My father was the same way. You never got anything. You had to earn everything. And it did as you got older and you understood, like, it did become frustrating. It became frustrating, like, Dad. All right, he's like, well, you got to earn it. I'm like, Dad, well, what's the deal? Like, come on, what's the deal? Like, can I have it or not? Like, what are we doing here? So I think, look, I'm not a parent. I don't know how it goes. You got to be a teacher. You have to teach them. You have to instill them. Discipline is everything. We talk about we've talked about this extensively. Like, how do you when you give your kids everything you never had, they become everything that you never were.
We talked about this 2
We
days
talk about
ago.
that a lot, you know? So it's like, how do you, your success comes from your struggle, but your kids are never going to have that struggle. And you can't really emulate that too much because then they'll grow to resent you, right? So I tell you, I don't know. I like what he does. His kids seem to love him. I think you walk that, you know, that's kind of like every great coach, every great mentor, every great boss, every great friend you've ever had knows when to push and knows when to pull, right?
Good feedback there. You know, ladies, if you're watching this, in about 5 minutes, we're going to do the next giveaway, which is going to be what? A Louis Vuitton scarf. It's going to be the Tory Burch sandals, and it's going to be the Gucci wallet, which is like $1,300. We'll do that here next. $20 super chat. You'll be in the raffle. You got probably 5 more minutes to get that $20 and to be in the next super chat. Here's what I would tell you. A guy named Art Williams, who is the founder of A.L. Williams, he used to be with a company called Larry Waddell and Reed, and then he left and it became Primerica, Citigroup bought it, all this stuff. It's a term insurance company.
Just Do It guy? Is that
This the Just Do It guy. That's right. That's the Just Do It guy.
Yes.
Yeah, Art Williams. So he said when he was a coach and he was working with Coach Bear Bryant, or he was a coach himself, he would tell us players, you better get your ass off the field if you're injured. Don't even think about if you're injured to lay down there. Get up and get to the sidelines. Don't even walk slowly to the sidelines. I'm not going to come and get you. You get your ass up and get to the sidelines. That's what he would say. He says, but in a leadership recording, he said the following. He said, but let's face it. If I knew they couldn't get up, I'm going to go pick them up and bring them to the sidelines. But you never tell them to believe that, because you want them to use as much of their own sheer strength to stand up. So a big part of parenting could be, listen, dude, you got to figure this thing out for yourself. You got to pull yourself. You know, you got your own little red wagon to pull. Whatever. You're the Michael's legacy, the Aguilar, the Zeno legacy, the Ellsworth legacy, but David, you know, one day Sosnick legacy. You got to go do your part. But if shit hit the fan, you know who's the first person that's going to go. You know it. You know if something happens, his son needs something, you know you're the first person to go there. So, but the tricky question is the following. Here's a tricky question. Do you guys believe you're going to leave an inheritance to your kids?
Yes.
Whatever you have, are you going to leave 100% with your kids?
No.
Whatever you have? Are you not at the 100% part?
50%
Absolutely
charity.
not.
Where are you at? You're at.
They don't need to wait for me to leave them an inheritance, for Kim and I to leave them an inheritance, because we're giving them vision, purpose, and education. And I've pointed out to them that says, look, you got to go get your grades and you got to get your test scores so that you have the maximum number of opportunities, whether that's college or whatever it is in life. You want the maximum opportunities, you need to work to get it. And I've sent Bailey articles on student loans. I said, you are blessed because you're not going to get out of college with student loans, so you won't have that burden as you produce the opportunity following your education. And so that I give them purpose, I give them vision, and we teach them consequence. If you slack now, you're going to limit the number of opportunities you have. You work hard, you can have the maximum number of colleges.
You're going to do 100%. You're going to do 100%. You're going to do 100%.
Well, here's why.
100%.
I don't know who else would be more worthy than my kids. I mean, unless there's some charitable cause or something.
Okay.
Or something.
Well, let me ask you a question. Are you going to do 100%?
Give your kids all your
every Uber, frequent flyer miles you have. Are you going to give all your money 100% to your kids?
No, I don't think 100%.
What would you give them?
Certainly some inheritance, but people forget how long people live, and you're going to use a lot of your money. Not everyone has $20 million or $10 million.
But I'm
even $1
saying
million
when you die, is your estate going to say 100% of your money goes to your kids, or is it going to go to some charities?
I assume most people, if they're doing well, they have a trust and they have a trustee, and
I'm
it's going to go to your wife, and it's going to go to all that.
But to you, is it going to go 100% to your family, wife, and kids?
A large portion. I
Okay,
won't say
fine.
100.
So then here's the other question.
What about you?
Here's the other question. Let me give you the other question. I'll give my answer as well. Here's the other question. The question, this is the real question. You got 4 kids. You got 2 kids. You got 3 kids. You got 10 million in your estate, 20 million in your estate. Are you giving every kid equally the same amount?
Oh, that's a good question.
That ripped my family apart.
Man, the ugly one has to get the least.
The ugly one.
This exactly, and it was
You're
not,
calling one of your kids ugly.
Chances are maybe one of them will be ugly.
No.
Let's go.
They're going to come back and
Gerard,
see this video.
Let's hear. I want to hear the story
Yeah,
how this ripped his family apart.
It was
Go ahead.
not a lot of money. It was not a significant amount of money. But my mom is one of 8 kids, and my grandmother only left 6 of them money.
And left 2 people out.
Left 2 people out, and there was property that she only gave to 3. And I got to be honest, and I love my grandmother more than any human being that's ever walked this face of the earth. I love that woman to death. That was a vindictive move.
But
what was
her reasoning?
She shouldn't.
What was her reasoning? Did she have one? Do you know her reasoning?
She had reasons. And then afterwards, it was the brothers and the sisters got together and they were like, you know, look, Grandma had dementia at the end. She was angry. Look, let's just do the right thing and split this thing evenly. And some of the people were like, no, we're going with her last wishes. And they're like, you're greedy. And it has nothing to do with greed. It's we're honoring our mother's wishes. And it ripped the family apart.
Till today?
Till today.
They
don't speak to each other. They won't go to each other's funerals. Like rip them apart. They'll never speak to each other.
Similar
ever
to my family as well.
And I'm telling you that we spent every Christmas together. We spent every holiday together. No matter how far on Long Island, no matter how far south they got, this was a tight family.
What a horrible position to put your mother in, where she has to go ask for something that she probably deserved. Or if you're going to keep people out, you got to tell them why. I think. I mean, there's got to be a reason for it.
The relationship broke down early before. I'm interested, Tom. Like, you're not afraid that your daughter and your daughters love you to death. You're not afraid they're going to resent you if they know that what money you have and that money's going to leave the family. At least you could like leave them in the will. Say, here's everything. This is what I would do with it. I would
say I'm giving 100%. Oh, you.
Okay, I'll tell you what we're doing. He says it's going to be a trust or a foundation, depending on the size. And there will be something for Bailey, something for Brooke, and then they will be trustees of the trust and the foundation. And we are going to already be instilling in them in the things that we support and the things that we do. They will already be, unless I die in a plane crash tomorrow afternoon, right? They will already be instilled.
Conditioned.
Let's go,
Right?
Brandon.
We're already going to teach them what we're doing. And so when it's over, they don't have to wait for the reading of the will. They'll say, well, I've got something here. I've got something here. I have no education debt. Hope I've made something myself. And then we're both trustees to keep doing what Mom and Dad were doing from the day that we were old enough to understand what they did with their money.
I think so. I had a story from one, and then we'll transition to the you got 2 more minutes, folks, if you want to get that Tory Burch sandals. What is it? Louis scarf and a Gucci wallet. We'll do that in 2 minutes here.
That's for every woman valuetainer and every Persian valuetainer.
By the way, Persian and Michoacan, Jalisco, Mexicans.
Ricky's more excited about this than any female out there.
Ricky's like, I got all 3 already.
Ricky heard Louis Vuitton scarf and things are starting to pop up.
So we had one of the successful friends of the family we had in Iran was a lady named Shirin. They had a son named Ali, who ended up being a doctor, and I don't know what the sister's name was. Could have been Hirsa or something like that. Anyways, so the way they did it is, they said, it was so interesting. My mom told me the story. They gave their wealth while they were alive because they didn't want their kids to be waiting for them to die so they get the money. So they gave it while they were alive.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, so they're like, you know what? Listen, here's what we have. Here's the money you're getting right now while we're alive. Let's just enjoy. We don't want you to be like, when is mom dying? When is dad dying? Yeah.
Right.
So, that's one part. But the other part also, like if you got a kid that ends up being a bad habits, drugs, all this other stuff, he's going to ruin his life. There was a book by Jim Stovall called The Ultimate Gift.
Yes, love
it's
that
a
book.
Great book. It's a great book. We've probably given a few thousand copies of this book away.
I think you gave that to me like the first week we were dating as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
I probably did. The Ultimate Gift. Yeah.
He gave you a book, first week of dating.
He gave
I
me
gave her
several
2
books.
Yeah, but the first week, the first book I gave you was...
Yeah, the first was 101 questions you asked before you get
married.
engaged.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Second date. Second date.
At border.
Oh, he came on strong then, huh, Jenny?
Yes. He knew what he wanted.
Yeah, second date. And then we had a meeting Saturday for how many hours?
Like 6 maybe?
6 hours we went through every
6
question.
hours.
Not a date, a meeting.
I like that you just called it a meeting.
Hey, I love how you tell a girl you're going to give her the ultimate gift and you hand her a book.
Well, my lawyers showed up. Her lawyers showed up. It was very romantic. Both legal team was there.
We had a mediator off to the side, a court reporter.
By the way, Jen,
Yeah.
Senna says, you're going to give me a Corvette or a Ferrari.
Pink Ferrari.
You know when she does her little daddy, if there's one kid that's going to get it, it's Senna.
I don't know about that. I don't think we would do that to her. No.
You don't know me too well yet.
No, I think Senna could pull it. I'm saying if there's one kid that can pull it out of you,
Let me explain it to you, though. Yeah. Here's how I work. The way I work is very simple. Mm-hmm. We have, in every possible way, it's all about incentives. Mm-hmm. You hit it, I want to do more for you. I don't want to do less for you. I'm all about more. Mm-hmm. So if you wanted XYZ, I want to do even more, but I want you to hit a certain earlier numbers, performance, giving your best, behavior, attitude, all that stuff. I want to be able to do that. So there's going to be some kind of a structure for the kids to be able to get more than others. They're all going to be in a pretty decent situation, but some of them are going to get more than others. Business-wise, here's how I'm going to do when the guys have an idea to run a business. My approach for business is going to be the following way. You come, you don't talk to me. You talk to him. You don't talk to me with your business ideas because I don't want to have that kind of relationship with you.
Right.
If you need me on a chair, no problem. If you need me as an investor, no problem. You have to convince him. You have to convince the lawyers, not me. So you talk to them. They hold you accountable to the money. They hold you accountable to what you do. Those guys are getting a fee of what the company does good. So they're not going to be like, oh, here you go, $17 million. Here you go, it's $1 million. Here you go, $300,000. In return, I'm in the back. I'm just simply the one that's the chair, but he's holding you accountable. The board is holding you accountable. That's the way I'm going to approach it with these kids. Now, we're going to find out in 8 years if it's right or wrong, and then we'll talk about it on the podcast. I said we talk about it in 2020
Episode
2101.
By the way, you know what Shaq does? Speaking, and this whole conversation started with Shaq and inheritance. You know that he has something that he calls the Shaq Tank, right?
Like a Shark Tank.
Like a Shark Tank.
Yeah.
Well, he'll have investors come in and pitch him for 15 minutes while he's got his board of trustees or his conglomerate around him, and they pitch him with ideas. So that's probably what he's going to have his kids do, is come in and pitch the group on their ideas. He's not going to give his kids stuff for free. There's going to be an incentive program as well.
We talked about Dwayne Johnson being president one day. I would vote for Shaquille O'Neal as president.
Okay.
Can you imagine Shaq as a president?
I would vote for Shaquille O'Neal as president of the United States.
Press conferences would be great.
Yeah.
Would
he be the most dominant?
Yeah.
Would he be the most dominant? Yeah.
Can I tell you the first time I saw Shaq play?
Vladimir Putin.
He was in high school. I saw Shaq play in high school. Right before he went to LSU, he played at the U.S. Olympic Festival. They used to have this in off Olympic years.
Yep.
He was on the American team, played at Williams Arena in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I went to the game, didn't know who he was. There was a half-hour delay in the game because he tore down the rim and he blocked 20 shots. Can you imagine Shaq against high school kids? I saw it. It was unbelievable.
By the way, LSU record, I think 14 or 15 blocks in a game. I remember that game when he did that. He was insane.
His rookie
former
year,
LSU
incredible.
Tiger. Shaq.
What was
Not Laker, not Heat, not NBA champion.
We went to a
What was
special.
the Nick Nolte movie with him and Anthony?
Chips, not chips. Blue Chip, yeah.
Amazing movie.
By the way, we went to a Lakers event with. Do you remember that Lakers event we went with Shaq and James Worthy came over, said hello. That whole we were playing basketball on the Staples
Center.
Yeah, it was really cool, great experience. Shaq's the speaker. Shaq comes in, he gets up. So Shaq, your kids, one of them looks like he's going to have a career. What college are you going to put him into? He says, I'm going to put him in LSU. They pay the best. So if you enjoyed this little short segment from the podcast that we did, here's another short segment to watch. Or if you want to see the entire podcast, click over here. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.